All wings report in.
HouseDog, standing by.
Mother Goose, standing by.
Lowtech Tuck, standing by.
Lock S-foils in attack position. Animal Squadron ready for battle.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Animal Squadron podcast. I almost forgot what podcast this was for a second, but I'm your host, Mother Goose. Hello.
And I'm Lowtech Tuck.
I do that all the time on the D&D podcast. I accidentally introduce this as the Animal Squadron podcast. It's about.
Well, I mean, it's not like we're getting close to 100 episodes or anything. I mean, you've only said it a million times, so
Yeah, for sure. But no, very excited to be back. Very excited to be talking about this week's episode of The Bad Batch, Season 3, Episode 3, titled, I forgot to look this time,
And I just watched it.
Shadows of Tantiss.
There we go. There we
go. Okay, so there's a lot to talk about here, but I think we should just maybe address the elephant in the room.
Yeah.
Omega's force sensitive.
She has a high midichlorian count.
Yes.
We don't know if that's force sensitive or not.
That's very true, but they're looking for a match with the Emperor. So, and she is a match, which means her midichlorian count has got to be massive.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it is.
Which...
But also, what do they mean by match, though? Does she match the Emperor as far as numbers, or does she match him just as far as having a somewhat decently high midichlorian count?
That's fair. Yeah, I'm not sure, and I know, like, the last two episodes, you were like, I don't want Omega to be force sensitive, so I was just really curious how you're feeling about this.
That's why I'm being a little combative here.
That's totally fair. That's understandable.
I really I'm fine with her having a high midichlorian count. And I would even be okay with her having Jedi-like reflexes. But we don't need a Jedi in the Bad Batch. Well,
yeah.
We just don't. We don't.
I agree. And I'm definitely not like as against it as you are, but I still would have preferred they didn't go down this route, and I'm feeling a little excited and a little sad because we got this first in The Mandalorian, but now we're getting it here as well. Project Necromancy. They're trying to explain how the Emperor comes back in the sequel trilogy, and it makes me excited because that was a really big thing that we hated, was that the Emperor just came back randomly, and now they're explaining it. But at the same time, I'm sad because it's like, the purpose of this show is just to explain how the Emperor came back. Okay, cool.
No, I think it's more than that. I think it's more about showing us a perspective of the dark times, not from a main character.
Yeah.
That's what I think this show's more about.
That's a good perspective. I like that.
Because also Project Necromancer, we don't know if this is the same project that allows Palpatine to come back.
That is true.
This project could fail.
We definitely, myself, like a lot of Star Wars fans, but myself specifically, have put a lot of assumptions into it just because of the name Project Necromancy. But you're right. It could be anything. It could fail. We don't know yet.
Yeah, but also it could be Project Necromancer in that maybe Palpatine is taking dead Jedi and creating apprentices. We don't know.
Ooh, something like The Force Unleashed 2?
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, because I know with Necromancer, we're all assuming that he's raising something from the dead. I mean, I get that, but yeah, I don't know. It could be, for me, it's still a pretty open-ended question as far as what this actually is.
Yeah, for sure. for sure. And I'm guessing we'll probably, I don't know if we'll get the answer to it this series, but I definitely feel like we'll be getting the answer soon. You know, they teased it in The Mandalorian. It's now a major part of the plot of season 3 for the Bad Batch. I definitely think we'll be getting answers soon.
Yeah, and also I could, with the failed project thing, I could see it also being something that originally the Emperor is planning something else, and then it works, and he's like, "Oh wait, I could clone myself."
Ooh,
Boom.
I'd like that.
I could see that, like it being kind of an accident. I could see that.
Okay, crazy theory that I'm just pulling out of my butt here. Maybe he's trying to get a clone of Anakin.
I could see it, or get a clone that's as powerful as Anakin.
Oh yeah, like a clone of Anakin with the same midichlorian count that the Emperor could then put his spirit into.
Yeah, or even a clone of anybody, just that's equally as powerful as Anakin.
Well, I mean, Anakin's him though, so
Yeah, it's true, but I mean, Palpatine's pretty dastardly, so we'll see what happens.
yeah, he's a sneaky little guy, sneaky
He
little
is a
baby man.
A sneaky little baby man. But I could see this being potentially the beginning of how he clones himself, and we're kind of retroactively explaining that, which is fine, but I would kind of like to see them use it for something else.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah.
Also, modern Star Wars' fear of using the actual word midichlorian is so funny to me, because this series, and I believe also The Mandalorian, specifically just say M count because they're trying to avoid saying midichlorians.
Is it because they're worried that people like us are going to run away with crazy theories?
I think maybe, but my original thought process was more so they were worried about original trilogy fans who got pissed off about the midichlorians in the first place.
Oh, I gotcha.
You know, which I mean,
just because
us,
it wasn't mentioned in the first 3 movies.
Yeah, I mean, for us,
Yeah.
we grew up with midichlorians at being part of Star Wars canon. It's not really a big deal. For them, it was like I disagree, but I understand their perspective of before then the Force was just this mystical thing that really had no explanation. It was just there because it is. And now then George Lucas added the midichlorians to try and like add some science behind it. And so I understand why they were upset. Again, I disagree, but I understand.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like the original trilogy fans that are upset about R2-D2. How he, how he in the first, no, how he in the original trilogy, the only tool that he has is the chainsaw, and then I think his little hacker thingy.
Right.
But then in the prequels, he gets, he can fly, and he has, several more tools. Oh, the shocky, like he can fight super battle droids and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. I've heard a lot of original trilogy fans that were not happy about that.
Yeah.
It's kind of the same thing. But
fair.
I don't I would say find something more important to be upset about, but like you said, we're biased. That's yeah.
No, on the R2-D2 thing, my explanation, this is just like headcanon thing, is he's just getting old. He's just getting older, and his parts don't work as well as they used to.
Yeah, I could see that, but also another thing that I think about is, name me an instance where he really needed to use one of those tools in the original trilogy.
You know what? That's a really good point.
He probably had them, but they just didn't need it.
Yeah. For sure, for sure. Okay, back to Shadows of Tantiss. Sick name, by the way. Sick name.
Yeah, that is a dope name.
So we start out with Omega and Emery going to the lab, and then Nalase gets called away because there's an important guest coming, and Nalase realizes, oh, hey, I can't throw away Omega's blood sample. Gotta get her out, and that kind of sets the whole episode into motion. What were your thoughts here? And also, did you know it was the Emperor, or did you think it might be someone else that was this quote-unquote special guest?
My thought was either the Emperor or Vader. That was kind of my thinking. And it's just because the way he says uninvited guest, or no, unexpected guest, that's what he says.
Yeah.
And how they scramble, and how he makes sure that they have 4 additional V-Wings to escort them in.
Right.
That's kind of when I was like, okay, it's probably either the Emperor or Vader. It's someone really, really high
important.
up.
Yeah.
I guess it could be Tarkin too.
Tarkin, and I think
any one of the super high up Imperials.
Yeah. I think was too early for I think it's too early for Thrawn. I don't think he's had a major Empire presence yet, but yeah, Tarkin potentially.
I think Thrawn's not even a Grand Moff at this point, or not even a Moff. I don't think.
Yeah, I need to go back and look at the timeline, because I know he fights in the Clone Wars, and then he's gone for some reason. I don't really know why, and then he comes back during the Empire and goes to the official Imperial Academy, and I don't know. There's a big chunk of my Thrawn lore that I'm missing, and it's this bit.
Yeah, no, I gotcha.
But no, I definitely was thinking it was the Emperor. I did consider Vader, but then I was sitting there and I was like, Vader don't care about he doesn't care about this.
Also, I mean, right now he's got his hands tied hunting Jedi right now is what he's doing.
Yeah, it's right in the middle of it, and this is probably about the time he's starting to train the Inquisitors as well.
Yeah, and understandably, the Emperor doesn't want Vader to know about it. I just thought about that.
Yeah, I hadn't considered that either.
But he wouldn't want Anakin to know about the possibility of being able to clone dead people.
Yeah, because Anakin would 100% use it to bring Padme back.
Oh, no question. He wouldn't even think about it.
Yeah.
And also if her soulless corpse came back, or like it went wrong, I think Palpatine knows that Vader might seriously peace out.
Yeah.
if that happened. So
that's a really good point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this scene, Omega gets real lucky here, running away with the tablet. I was just sitting there watching, like, Emery's, like, facing in the direction, like, yes, there's a little, like, wall between them, but, she pokes her head over once to say, hey, get out of here. Omega got real lucky here.
Yeah, but also since she's force sensitive now, she probably just waited to censor.
You know what? Yeah, I could see that.
No, I think she got lucky too. Or she happens to know that Emery would just be too wrapped up in those blood samples and she'd have a chance.
That is true. Emery is very invested. I also
Plus, she's a lot better than she used to be as far as knowing what she's doing. Omega. Yeah.
For sure. I also really like, though, that we can see that Emery really cares about Omega, like telling her, oh, like, clearly something's up. Go take a day off. Go relax some.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, we got some of this in the last Omega episode, but it's just nice to see.
I think Emery cares about Omega to the best of her ability.
Yeah, I agree.
But I don't really know if she really cares about Omega.
Yeah.
I think she thinks she does. That's what I'm saying.
I think she cares about her, but Omega will never be more important than the mission or the task or whatever job she needs to do for the Empire.
Yeah, and also, is Omega important as a person, or is Omega important as a sample?
Ooh, yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, so I don't know. I'm not really buying that Emery cares about her that much.
Yeah,
to be
I'm
honest.
also curious if they were testing Emery as well.
Yeah, well, they do mention that they tested Crosshair.
Right.
I don't think that'd be far-fetched. Like, maybe every clone that goes into the base has to be tested.
Yeah.
Because maybe they figured out that Jango Fett had a high M count or something.
You know, I could totally see that. Like, not just Jango Fett, but like Mandalorians in general having a higher M count, I think would make a lot of sense. Maybe not, obviously not Jedi levels, but higher than the normal person. Definitely fits with their whole like alpha warrior lifestyle.
And they have really, really fast reflexes. I mean, almost like a force sensitive. And yeah, I could believe it.
Yeah. You know what else I just thought of? Totally random, but this whole like Omega having a high M count and the other clones not makes me feel like midichlorians are like steroids. You can just inject yourself.
Yeah, maybe. I was thinking more so of maybe Nala Se did that when Omega was still an embryo.
Oh, yeah.
Or, like I mentioned earlier, maybe Nala Se was the one who discovered that Jango did have a really isolated gene or something, and she was able to isolate that and use it when she created Omega. I don't know.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, because, I mean, even though they're clones, they don't all have the same genes.
Right.
Like, Rex has blonde hair.
Yeah.
And most of the time, the clones have dark hair. So, I mean, I think there's a little bit of wiggle room, especially when we're talking about, however many clones that there are. What did we decide? Millions at one point?
I think so. I think we agreed that when they said 200,000 units ready and 1 million more on the way, that we agreed that units didn't necessarily mean a single clone. It might maybe like a squad.
Yeah, it meant a group.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, that's right. So it'd be millions.
Because Star Wars lore is a little inconsistent. Like, there are books that mention there's like 3 million clones in the Battle of Coruscant.
Yeah, which that's a lot more believable, because, I mean, these planets literally have... I mean, a planet like Coruscant would have... I'm just throwing this out there, but, like, our planet, we aren't even close to the same population density as Coruscant. We have close to 8 billion.
Yeah.
I bet Coruscant's probably 20, 30 billion.
Yeah, lots of people.
Yeah, I mean, I bet 5 billion people just live in the main city of Coruscant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For
crazy.
sure. Okay, so we get Omega. She runs, again, really lucky just getting through here. And then she finds Crosshair, and they play a little tricksy on the guards to escape.
Yep, which actually, that's one thing that, two things, couple of lines that kind of crack me up in this episode. I'm going back just a second here.
Yeah.
To Nala Se whenever she tells Omega to escape. I thought that was like the creepiest way to tell someone to escape. Just with her tone of voice is like, you need to leave. I was like, that is terrifying. If I was a little girl, I'd be so scared.
Yeah, that's a good point.
This giant thing with alien eyes is looking at me. It's like, you need to leave. And then the other one was whenever Crosshair tries to do the distraction. Because, I mean, if you think about it, he never did the distractions. He was always the guy waiting to ambush. And so he probably doesn't really know how. And so he just goes, guards. And then they turn around.
Hey, it worked out.
I was like, yeah,
though.
this guy has no idea what he's doing. Yeah. No, that's funny though.
Yeah, for sure. So they get out. I also really like their conversation where Crosshair's like, so you figured out a plan? And Omega's like, not really. Nuh-uh.
Which makes him so mad.
Right?
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like the one thing he told her to do.
She wasn't going to.
Yeah, she's too busy chilling, hanging out with
Exactly. She had stuff to do.
Yeah.
Batcher was there.
I was kind of thinking about it this episode. The TK troopers, it's kind of weird that they go from clone troopers to TK troopers to stormtroopers in the sense of you're making this military and you're switching from one armor set to another armor set. It's just really weird that there's this in-between armor set that they use for like a year maybe that then just have to be completely disregarded. Like, what a massive waste of resources.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point, but that is how it works in the real world, though.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like, basically militaries will trial stuff, and then there's several examples of stuff that was trialed, accepted, and then only a year or two later, they trialed something else and accepted something else.
Okay. Well,
Like, I can think of, like, for instance, in America, there was a rifle that we accepted in 1892 called the Krag, right? And
Yeah.
then in 1903, we had a new rifle. So that means we only had it for like 10 years. Like, we used it, and then we were like, this other rifle came out, and we were like, let's try that one. And then we liked it, and so we just got rid of the Krag after only 10 years.
You know what? That makes me feel a little better. If this is what we doing in real life, then okay. All right.
Yeah, no, I think that's just how it works. I mean, I'm not a super high up member of the government or anything, so I don't really know how it works, but I know how it works from books.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, sick. It genuinely is really bothering me, and now I feel better.
Yeah.
Okay, so then we've already talked about the Project Necromancer a lot, but we do get a scene of the Emperor going in, taking a look at it, and he says there's no other project as important in terms of the preservation of our empire, which I thought was a really interesting line. But also the just amount of security around this as well, I wanted to point out.
Yeah, you're not making it in there.
Yeah, it is a lot. Especially, like, again, we have TK troopers, but there's just a stupid amount of Republic Commando or Clone Commando units here, which, I mean, really shows just how important this is to the Emperor.
Yeah, well, and I think that's why, is because of this project, because the Clone Commandos, at least in the Republic, they only answered to the Supreme Chancellor.
Ooh, interesting. I didn't know that.
That was it. So I assume in the Empire, same thing. Like, they probably have high enough clearance where they only answer to the Emperor, or maybe they only answer to Tarkin or something.
Yeah.
But they have ridiculous high clearance levels.
Which actually makes a lot more sense now while we're seeing more of them here. Like, and why Palpatine is keeping them compared to the rest of the clones, at least right now, if they're like his personal little army.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. Or at the very least, his own personal assassins, pretty much.
That is true. Yeah.
Whether he uses them to fight wars or kill senators, I don't know, but I think he probably does both, actually, knowing Sneaky Sheev.
Yeah, for sure. And like 4 clone commandos could take on an army. So having most of them here, no one's getting through.
No. Not until today, anyway.
Not until today, when they were distracted.
Yeah. Well, and it was only one of them, to be fair, but
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and you know what? Sorry, it was just clicking what scene you're talking about. Crosshair, he's genetically altered. He doesn't count.
yeah. Well, and actually, so's Omega.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a super highly trained clone versus a genetically enhanced couple of clones. Like, it's fine. They're still good.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair.
But no, did you have anything else you want to talk about in terms of here and them talking about Project Necromancy and the stupid amount of security?
Not really. I get why they have to do it, but I really wanted to see what was inside that tube.
Me too.
I was sad. It's like, let me look at the tube. Come on.
Let me see the tubes, please. Filoni. No, I think my last note here is I just love the design of this room. It reminds me of a Sith holocron. You know, the like black floors with the red lighting, the black tubes with the red lighting. It's very Sith.
Yeah. And it's very Palpatine too. It's just like evil. I don't know.
Very, very evil.
Yeah, that guy, like his type of room is just, imagine like it's like a Bond villain kind of thing. Where it's like it's almost silly how evil it is.
Yes. Now I want to see Palpatine's bedroom. What does it look like? Okay, and then just for sequencing wise, again, we've talked about this a lot already. Emery goes to find Omega. She's not there. Omega and Crosshair go to where Bacha. I don't remember what
Batcher.
Batcher?
Batcher's his name, yeah.
I don't remember what his species name is called.
Or as she says, Betcha.
Betcha.
They're dadgummit. I can only think of Lorax. That's not right though. It's it starts with an L. They say it like 4 times in the episode.
I know. I completely spaced on them too.
Oh, yeah. They're just the dog things, the stalkers.
The stalkers, yes.
The hound dogs.
I'm surprised that Emery was able to so quickly find them. I mean, to be fair, there's not really a lot of other places that Omega hangs out, but...
Yeah, I mean, I kind of chalk it up to the fact that they both have the same tablet.
Oh, yeah.
That only a certain amount of people get. So I'm sure like the tablets probably have tracking on them or something.
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't think about that. I was kind of hoping Emery would go with them when she confronted them. I knew it wasn't going to happen, but I still had that hope. Maybe she'd choose her brothers and sister.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping for that too. And I honestly did have a little hope just because there's a bunch of her on the base.
Yeah. Right.
So she could leave, and then there would just be another Dr. Carr.
Yeah. Yeah.
But she didn't. She made a bad choice.
What a loser.
What a loser. What a loser baby woman.
Loser baby woman. Next thing I have is, so they escape through the tunnels, then it cuts back to Palpatine as he's leaving, and what's this scientist? It's Hemlock, right?
Yes.
He specifically mentions wanting to be promoted to the scientific minister, which I thought was a really interesting lore tidbit.
He's ambitious.
He's ambitious, for sure.
But I love, too, that Palpatine just gives him that harsh reject. He's like, all in good time. And that's it. That's all he says.
Yeah, which
and I'm sure Hemlock later was like, man, I probably shouldn't have said that. Dang it.
Yeah. Because I think Palpatine would promote him, but only if he saw actual use from him there.
I'm sure that Project Necromancer probably has to come to completion. Like, Palpatine's got to get what he wants before Hemlock gets promoted.
Yeah. Let's see. Then it cuts back to them escaping. Classic movie trope. The force fields are coming up. They barely escape in time. They slide out, like, right as the door shuts, and They're out.
Dude,
They made it out of Mount Tantiss.
dude, I really thought that Crosshair was gonna make it, and then it was gonna shut right in front of Omega.
Me too.
And they were gonna have to, and then like they were gonna have to try to find a way to get her out later or something.
Yeah,
I really thought she wasn't gonna make it.
Crosshair would escape the planet and go find the rest of the Bad Batch.
And then they'd have to come try to get her.
I could see that.
But it's not what happened.
Not what happened. Let's see. Then we get our action sequence of the episode as the dog thingies get released. Let's see. I've got the episode up here. I think he's about to say it, so I can find the name. But they put in some work trying to find these guys.
Yeah, and also that saber-tooth cat thingy.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Terrifying.
Yeah.
And I think also that we talked about this in episode 1, but I think they're Lucrax. Is that right? Lucrax?
I think that sounds right.
Yeah, the hound thingies.
Yeah.
I think they're both for like kind of a combination of our two theories, what we were talking about, that they're both for hunting people down, but then also they're for killing monsters out there.
Yeah, I think so. And it just popped up. It's Lurcas.
Lurkas.
But super convenient timing on them finding Omega and Crosshair as this saber-tooth creature also finds them.
Oh, they would have been so screwed,
right?
If the Lurkas didn't find them.
Yeah, and I thought it was Batcher. I initially thought it was Batcher, and then I realized, like, oh wait, no, this is the pack that got sent after them.
Yeah, but the fact we get to see Batcher later was awesome.
Yes, for sure. I think it was a smart plan of Omega to try and find the crashed ship that she heard about.
Yeah.
I mean, better than nothing.
Yeah. And one thing that I thought was interesting about that part is whenever it doesn't work, Crosshair is encouraging of her and like supportive of her.
Yeah.
Whenever she says like, I'm sorry, Crosshair, like I really thought that was going to work. And like, I'm sorry that I failed. And he just goes like, well, you got us this far. And like, I was just like, that is like probably one of the nicest things he's ever said. Wow.
You know what? I didn't even think about it. It really is, isn't it?
It's probably the first time that he's feeling feelings.
And his heart grew 3 times that day.
Yep.
Let's see. Then they do eventually get found by a group of TK troopers, which, I mean, lucky for them, it was a group of TK troopers led by a clone commando and not an entire unit of clone commandos. But I did feel a little weird, as important as they are, that they didn't send out all the clone commandos.
Well, I think the only thing with that is the clone commandos, I think, are more important for protecting the base.
Oh, that's a really good point.
I think the order is that it would be far better to lose Omega than to lose what they've already created.
Right.
Which is why I think they're able to escape, is because I think that's the order, is that, you know, definitely don't kill her, but if she leaves, it would be much better for her to leave and them try to go find her later than for something bad to happen to the base. Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, and then they kick some TK trooper butt. I like their
with Plan 72.
Oh yeah, they have a conversation about Plan 72. I really liked that.
Mm-hmm.
The moment where they talk about tech did make me really sad.
Yeah, but it made me think about too when Tech and Crosshair were on the same team.
Yeah,
and how they really didn't get along.
Right.
But I think it was one of those relationships where they didn't get along, but I think they still had respect for each other.
Oh, for sure.
Because whenever Omega says that, he's like, of course he did.
Yeah.
Yeah, just because he knew his brother.
Quarreling siblings.
Yeah, they're brothers.
Yeah. Yeah. Ooh, something I've been wanting to talk about is we mentioned this in the episode 1 episode or review. The cinematic shot of the tubes, the actual test happening as we're watching as it's spinning, and what I'm guessing now is the Emperor's blood being dropped into it, you know, and testing to see if there's an MCAT match. And again, just really good cinematography.
Yeah, and I like how it was a clock.
Oh yeah, kind of ticking.
You literally
as the
watch
episode was going.
You literally
on.
watch it move, and things get more dire every time it moves. It moves 3 times, I think, maybe 4 times.
Yeah.
But it's a clock.
Yeah.
Which I thought was a really, really cool choice.
Same. Let's see. So they fight Crosshair Plan 70. What was it? 77 or 72?
72.
72. Crosshair distracts the TK troopers while Omega gets on the ship, and then she opens it up so that Crosshair can get on. And I really like that moment where they kind of switch, where she goes and stuns the guard, parks the ship essentially, goes back down and starts giving him cover fire while he comes up to actually fly the ship.
Yeah, Omega's cool now.
Yeah, very cool.
Mm-hmm.
I just like that these are the two from the Bad Batch that have spent the least amount of time together, and yet they still operate as a team so well.
Yeah, like almost flawlessly.
I'm very happy that Breacher made it. I was so worried about this thing.
Yeah, I like Batcher. Batcher also, what kind of I thought was interesting is Batcher's capable of getting scared.
Yeah.
Which I just thought was interesting.
It's a really dynamic creature. And I think what I really love about this specifically, and this is coming off of me just watching the live action Avatar: The Last Airbender series, which I'm not going to talk about too in depth, but it treated Appa and Momo as pets instead of characters like it did in the original series. And I think that this show is doing the exact same thing, where they're treating Batcher.
Yeah, Batcher.
Thank you. Sorry. They're treating Batcher as a character. Yes, it's Omega's pet, but it's more than that. And I really appreciate that.
But also, they're both Filoni shows.
They're both Filoni shows. My man, just out here freaking killing it.
Yep, just loving animals, man.
Mm-hmm.
Love to see it.
And I think really they escape. They're flying away. They've got some troops coming after them. And then Emery realizes, oh, Omega's the one. She's the chosen one. She's got the M counts real good.
Yep. Don't call her the chosen one, but yeah.
Yes. So they call them off so they can escape, which just shows how important Omega is.
Yeah. Yep. And I think it's like we talked about a second ago, just that it is far more important for Omega to not die and them to not lose their progress than to just shoot her down.
Yeah, for sure. Especially being the only one they found for however long they've been testing.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, this that's really all I had. Did you have anything else?
No, I can't say I do. This episode really was probably the first one that actually I was on the edge of my seat watching it. It was really good.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. This episode was just phenomenal. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And super excited for what they have next.
Me too.
Well, thank you guys so much for listening. I almost said watching, but I caught myself. We really do.
You still said watching.
We really do appreciate it. If you want to be a part of this conversation, you can email us at animalsquadron@gmail.com. Again, that is animalsquadron@gmail.com. If you're listening on Spotify, the question of the week will be just what you thought of The Bad Batch Season 3, Episode 3. And if you could leave us a review, that would be awesome. We'd really appreciate it. For the Animal Squadron, this has been Mother Goose.
And Lowtech Tug.
Goodbye, everybody!
Adios.